What is going on, my friends, and welcome back to another video on the channel. Well, we're back with another daily Solana update because its price has done something that we talked about in the last video, but I am actually starting to get pretty excited about where Solana's price is right now because I think that we are finally going to start reaching the bottom of this pullback rather soon. And so with that in mind, let's not waste any more time at all, and let's get straight into the video. So looking at Solana here, what we can see is that its price has now ventured down into this liquidity zone that we talked about yesterday. I said, look guys, you need to pay very close attention to what happens at this micro Fibonacci zone. I said, look, we have a 618 to 786 zone currently sat between $131 and $124. I said there's a decent sized chance that it may be able to hold some support and continue upwards. But if it's unable to, and if we start to see this zone get lost, you need to assume that we're probably going to see Solana's price venture back towards $116 to $118. Now, what you can see here is that its price got to $118.86, so that has held up to be pretty damn accurate since yesterday's video. But I'm not really as concerned today about what's happening in the shorter term. I actually want to focus a little bit on what's happening in the grand scheme of things with Solana, because I do believe that where we are right now is actually entering into a very, very strong buying zone that I will really start to accumulate in probably more than I should, but I don't care. I'm going to do it anyway. So the reason that I say that is because of where we are for Solana in the macro. You know, Solana had a much bigger run than the rest of the market, and it's had already a bit of a bigger pullback than the rest of the market as well. That's normal. Solana is just more volatile than the rest of the market, especially like a Bitcoin or Ethereum. So it's normal to see it doing worse on the red days and better on the green days. It's just what happens, right? And so what we can see is that Solana's price is already down from that high already, dude. 41%, which I know is scary and it doesn't feel good, but I get excited about because Solana typically sees 40 to 60% pullbacks before it continues that rip to the upside. I mean, we've seen it time and time and time again. Look back here, right? This one wasn't as big, but you can see it, right? Dude, 38%, right under 40% pullback before we rip to the upside. You look at the one before that. What was this? Boom, we go in, measure, swing high, swing low. What was this? 45%. What can we see before that, before we rip to the upside on this one? Let's see. What do we have? 53%. No, a little bit less than that, about 49, 50%, right? So 50% pullback, 48% pullback, 38% pullback, 41% pullback. And so because of that, again, I do believe we're actually getting towards the bottom side of this pullback. And although, yeah, we could continue lower, right? We might see sub 100 at some point. Don't get me wrong. I don't necessarily think that's going to happen, but we could see that. So I'm not saying it's all, like it's over, but I'm saying that we are far past halfway, at least in my opinion. I could be wrong. We could go to 50. And I would be ecstatic if we go to 50. I'd love to buy some more $50 Solana, but that's besides the point. Okay, I think we're getting towards the final half, okay, of this pullback for Solana. Now, another thing that I have to support that thesis is where we are in terms of the macro Fibonacci's. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a Fibonacci from this swing low, our previous macro low, all the way up to the high that we put in. Okay, so let's go in, swing low, swing high, bam. What you can see here is Solana is now rapidly, baby, approaching the 618 to 786 zone between $97 and $114. This is an incredibly strong point of support. I think this is going to serve as a very strong point of support, and although it's not guaranteed to bounce Solana's price to the upside, the likelihood that this is such a strong zone that it at least slows down the bears to the point in which this run does come to a close pretty soon thereafter is very high. I personally just don't see Solana going straight through this zone with no slowdown, no interaction, no bull stepping in, nothing. I just personally don't envision that happening. It's possible we go through it, but I think it's going to slow those bears down, and I think it's going to slow their momentum down to the extent that this run would come to an end rather soon once we got through that zone, right? And so because of that, this is the part of the reason as to, again, why I think we're in the later half, right? I think we're getting towards the end of this pullback, knowing that the bulls generally should step in here. Now, granted, if there's a black swan, if something bad happens, something terrible happens, then anything can happen, right? We could go 20% down in 1 week. That's not the point. In general price movement, in general what we usually see from Solana, this zone should start to slow this move down, and I'm just glad we're finally here, okay? When you're way up here, knowing that this zone is 50, 60% away, that is way more nerve-wracking than being down here, because knowing down here, you know, rock bottom, quote unquote, for this type of move should be approaching soon, and then that means, of course, that the gains to the upside should be on the way, right? Something like this wouldn't necessarily surprise me. Bam, then a continuation, and that is what I'm excited about. The fact that we're getting closer and closer to this accumulation zone, like we saw back here, and like we saw back here, right? Back here, and then like we saw even here, and like we saw here. We're getting closer and closer to one of these little zones before that continuation. And now, of course, that excites me to the extent that I am doing some buying. So personally, I did do some more buying today. I basically bought Solana every day for the last 3 days. Yes, obviously, some of those buys are negative. I don't give a shit. It makes no difference to me because I do believe eventually we are going to see something like this happen, right? I think eventually we're going to continue upwards. And as I'm buying more and more and more and more and more, the lower we get, the better my average cost is going to be, the more Solana that I own. And then, of course, once that inevitable pump does come, if it does come, then we're in a position in which, of course, those gains are getting compounded extremely quick, and we're going to keep doing what we're doing. This is what we were doing back in the, in the bear market, right? This is why we were buying way back here when nobody else was. This is why we were talking about Solana when nobody else was, other than Invest Answers and a few others. So shout out to them. But I mean, dude, we were buying here, and we were buying here, and here and here. I remember, dude, when I was accumulating in here and then it dumped and people were just, dude, shitting on me. Like, look, your buys, you said that these were lows and you bought right here. You bought at $28, you idiot. Now who looks like an idiot when I was buying at $28 and you were complaining in the comment sections, right? Like, now that even still that's up 5x or 4.5x, right? And so because of that, yes, although some of these purchases are maybe going to continue to go negative and we may pull back a little bit more, I just genuinely believe that we're going to see this thing bottom out at some point rather sooner than later. And then, of course, at that point, we can look for some growth. Now, mind you, I don't have a crystal ball. I don't know what's going to happen. There's literally no way for me to be able to predict where Solana goes. But my general thesis is that Solana will go higher than it is now. It's just a matter of time and it's a matter of patience. And so what I'm going to do is accumulate on the way down, average my way in, and allow this market to play out as it needs to, and hopefully be able to pick up some Solana. I'd happily let it go to $90. Let me buy some under 100 again. I wish I could have bought more, even though I literally could not have bought more during the bear market. But anyway, so that's my thesis. That's my ideas. That's where I'm at with Solana, and that's why I'm excited about it. Let me know your comments down. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments down below. I'm sure some of you are going to be pissed and hate Solana, call it a shitcoin, whatever you want. We're still at 15x this year, so kind of kiss my ass. On top of that, you Solana holders, you Solana fans, we're still strong. It's still feeling good. Of course, I think some of our purchases are still like 9x or like 10x or something like that from the bear market. So we still sitting real high and dry. So shout out to you, of course. And those of you who are new to the channel, if you do enjoy this type of content, I do post it 3, 4, 5 times every single day. So if you do enjoy it, let me know by liking this video, subscribing to the channel, and turning on notifications so you never miss another one. And I'll see you all next time. Peace out, everybody.